there's no history here. So this was pretty much a snapshot, just as they created policies in 1851 for paying people to kill everybody here. So this is the genocide of this area. This was what they knew was happening here, so this is what they told the people in that area when they killed them and reported who was dead. 15 Pomo tribes, 16 Nomolaki tribes. There's a book. So they reported all the killings that they did here so they could get returned cash. Because that was the first thing that happened here to build California, was killing a native and getting $5 a scalp, because usually a whole day's wage was about 5 cents to 25 cents. So killing one individual and getting that scalp returned into the state could make you quite wealthy. And so this is what this map really represents, is that linguistic map, so you can label who you killed in 1851 when you were in that territory and you wanted to get cash back. This is a very strange land acknowledgement, I know. Mechuca, Willamaidu, you know, it's 2022 and I'm alive and kicking. So they didn't knock us all out. Obviously they kept it. Some of us here to fight back. What I fight back is with, you know, education, art, you know, and definitely workforce development to take care of the women. Currently, we're on unceded Mechuca territory, which means that it was never bought, it was never sold to the transaction to the tribe. It was completely stolen, and then it was sold afterward, after it's slavery.
Yes, we are here to talk about the California Creative Corps, which is a new workforce development program, an economic and workforce recovery program intended to fuel positivity, regain public trust, and inspire health and safety across California's diverse populations. Context: I know that the state is very interested in artists creating public awareness around water and energy conservation, climate mitigation, disaster preparedness and response, civic engagement, including election participation. We might well think, what's that got to do with health? It's to do with autonomy, the voice of the individual and the relationship of that autonomy. Today we're going to be sharing with you, among other things, a tool that the state has given us. It's called the California Healthy Places Index. And it's a map that's being adopted more and more by government departments to measure the relative health of communities across California. It's beginning to be adopted in other states, although it originated in California. When you look at it, it provides fascinating information, but you might feel that you want to challenge it. You might look at the map and you might feel, well, that's what we're being told, but our lived experience in Butte is something quite different, and we feel you should know about that. And that's why we're here, to listen to you. One of the things the Healthy Places Index looks at is the composition of race and ethnicity. And the reason it does that is because there are very clear indicators, correlations between race and ethnicity and relative health in communities and vulnerability and disparity. California Arts Council would like us to somehow try to move the needle in sharing an awareness of issues that are impacting the health and well-being of communities. And it wants us to prioritize those in the darkest blue areas. So more money for the least healthy communities, the things that determine the community's health, economic factors, education, social, transportation, neighborhood, housing, clean environment and healthcare access. Anytime with this map on the wall, just let me know if you're interested in a particular track. When you're by yourselves and you're looking at this map yourself, and you want to know, well, what's that got to do with, I mean, my response is always, well, that's just privilege, you know. But let's have a look at the meaning of the bachelor's education piece in connection with the health. So you can click on any one of these areas, and it will say, what does this indicator measure, and what's the connection with overall health? Everybody should have the opportunity to seek higher education and to go to college if they choose. A college education is essential for many higher paying careers, and it also helps people develop the cognitive skills and knowledge necessary to make healthy choices. A college education can also build important social and physiological skills. So it's not that I want to hover on education here, more just to show you how the map works and to show you that, for example, a few months on from now, when you're building an application for something absolutely incredible, you can use the narrative within the map to bolster your proposal. Does that make sense?
One thing I found huge success in is traditional ecological knowledge as a basket weaver. It is about having a healthy ecosystem. I cannot weave baskets, I can't get the willow sticks that I need, the roots that I need without land tending. And with the large amount of basket weavers that used to be present for thousands of years here, there's just a lot of areas that are very happy to have, basket weaving plants.
Art is a spectrum of things, and what Ali wishes to study is art, to create a natural ecosystem. And it's not traditionally seen as art because it's not a mural. My background in social work and social services, but I definitely think very creatively for solutions. And I look at that indicator there for kitchen facilities, and I think about, okay, well, how could an artist create a community space that creates access to better kitchen facilities that could have some murals, that could have an ecological harvesting area where people are learning about culinary stuff in this Chinatown area that would create resources for the whole community. Now, that's not necessarily typically a social service thing or an art project.
Within your grant application, you're going to want to make a very strong case for your county's definition of your area's definition of what art is.
For sure.
For us, these things, when combined, are meaningful. Artisan places to eat and meet and commune are important, and our definition of artisan is cooking, it's sharing a meal, which is cultural, isn't it? If we look at the broadest possible definition of cultural, that which brings people together with shared values, then you begin to see, let's get creative with what art is.
You mentioned collaboration with social service agencies, which is like cross collaboration as far as like, I do a lot of like art-based work with trauma education and like working, we were doing crossover with other projects. We know they're doing stuff in the community. Are you looking for that kind of stuff in your application?
Totally. Health and human services is incredibly important to this. And part of the idea of this is encouraging artists to come closer to government. Remember, this is a pilot program. This is the first statewide workforce development program where artists are being directly paid to shine a light on issues that are critical to society. The rest of the nation is watching us. So what we want to do is create for the upstate region case studies of your projects that shine out and that perhaps can be used by other communities in other parts of the county with similar demographics and similar issues. So when you're thinking out projects and partners, think of how can I create something that's going to last? What would that look like?
Just to kind of keep in mind is the cost of living. I mean, if we just think of a regular grant proposing for an artist full time, you're hitting hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I would hope that there would be that opportunity for us to kind of create these jobs, these full-time jobs that can continue, but also smaller as well.
Those have helped me a lot. They have because of my time. I'm also executive director of a preserve and reserve, and an artist. I'm also a mother of 5, and to put some stank on it, I have a daughter who's blind and has seizures and cerebral palsy, and is in a wheelchair. So my life is really hemmed up. So sometimes these inspirations to do small installations are admin through museums and small nonprofit, art collaborators. And then I get to go in and just compete on a really local level for a small amount of installation time. Sometimes I can't have a project that lasts a year long because I don't have that time. But I do have time to invest 3 months into a major project. I can go at a local level and it's beginning, middle, end, and I'm out, and go on to my next project.
I like the idea of the cross-county regional size grants. I think that there's a lot that can be done crossing over from Chico to Oroville. I feel like there's a lot of resources in Chico, like a lot of people are motivated, lots of skills.
I'm Jennifer. I run the Birdcage Student in Oroville. I think you could use small or large. I think for me, if I got a small one, it would help me reach more people, more advertising.
If you are an admin expert and an artist, there's something wrong with you.
Like, what is that algorithm? Basically, what makes this accessible? What makes it fair? And what makes it meaningful? Even if you look at the pale blue areas, there is something making them blue to begin with. So burrow down, find what it is that's going on, and build a case for support about it if you feel it has integrity, and we will look at that. But for sure, those areas of the map that are very dark blue are pretty obvious places of where to start, aren't they?
Am I to understand correctly is that there may be grants toward independent artists? Is that correct?
Oh, yes, in
Oh,
fact.
okay, I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I see quite a bit of a problem in our community because of the zoning issues. I see that there are, honestly, predatory zonings where it comes to like smoke shops and aspects like that, different facilities too close to residences and areas where the youth go. I see this as an industrial deceit, honestly. I see this as industrialization. I've learned about this in other areas of my travels where like industrialization is implemented upon communities for power plays. And as I see this Gold Rush area has been robbed of its resources for many years. And I see this as the reason why California has such problems with freedom of press and freedom of speech and aspects like that.
When you're putting together an application as an individual artist, for a size that you feel makes sense for you, you know, put that in there. It relates to some of the themes that we mentioned at the beginning, like social justice and civic engagement.
Mini grants or city petitions, the public art that I've done has been so expensive for me and lost income from other opportunities for the time, the help I needed to pay for to complete the job, the low budgets, but the vision that was there. And I think it's so important to offer these opportunities because, you know, it wouldn't have been survivable for a lot of people to have that opportunity. But I was lucky I was able to serve, you know, I was able to do the project, but it was very expensive.
Are you saying that the monies you received were not enough to cover those expenses?
Absolutely not. I didn't have the funding to take care of the materials costs as well as support to make the project happen. But I desired to do the project. I wanted to contribute, and I had an idea, a vision that was really important for me.
For one, I'm really excited about this program being up here. I've always felt upper Northern California is kind of lacked in art. There's certain places that they're just more open for people to do art projects. And so, like business owners, for example, they're okay with people painting on their walls. They're okay working with local artists. But when you come to an area like this, it seems like there isn't that open arms or that education that business owners have. And some of them, speaking from experience, because I actually do the footwork, I go out and ask business owners, would you like a mural on this wall, for example? And most of the time, I met with, oh, that's a great idea, I've never thought about before. Or it's, I don't need it, like, this is something, I'm okay with the graffiti that keeps on happening on my wall, or something like that. So like, there's those barriers we're always, just for example, artists have to deal with.
I'm a muralist, and you really have to be sneaky about social justice issues if you're going to promote them publicly here. A lot of business owners do not want to promote the equality of LGBTQ or somebody who was shot by the police. So these things actually make up a community. It helps heal us. It helps us deal with the trauma, whether things were right or wrong. Either way, art is a medicine to a lot of these issues that are around us. But we do have a lot of closed minds when it comes to social justice issues. And so environmental justice issues are kind of the only one you can kind of get away with sometimes with the salmon.
Here, I haven't lived here that long in the area, but
the overall understanding of how art and culture can really have a positive impact on businesses, the community feeling as a whole, as a community, the quality of life. They don't understand the connection. Art is over here, business is over here. And somehow there needs to be more of that education of the people who they don't understand what that connection is. And I've observed that a lot since moving here.
The idea that I have, I see it happening for many years. And when you say pilot program, does that mean it's just one time and done? Is there a possibility the grant would be resurrected again the next year?
This is one-time funding from the state. However, there's a little bit of a ray of sunshine in there, in the fact that the State Agency for the Arts, California Arts Council, is calling it a pilot. That hints that if it is successful, if we can create projects that other communities can benefit from later, that we can move the needle even a little, we're going to continue with it.
Part of the spirit of our recovery in paradise is the vision of recreating our community as a destination for the region for fine arts and cultural experiences. And currently, the Paradise Arts Theater and Culture Hub, which brings together Gold Nugget Museum, North Buffalo Hall Foundation, Paradise Arts Center, Theater on the Ridge, the Paradise Recreation and Parks District, and the Butte Tribal Council. We're now looking at the potential of co-locating on a common campus so that we can drive traffic past each other's doorsteps and create a magnet for fine arts and culture experiences on the Ridge. So part of the question then, what I'm leading up to is it going to be possible to apply to this grant resource to satisfy a matching grant from a private foundation?
For the first time in 5 years, there is now 30 million in the budget that California Arts Council will be administering to fund the inaugural 14, but to go out and create new California cultural districts. I think we have a strong case of support. California Arts Council is going to prioritize from these new cultural districts diverse populations in need. You have such a strong case of support. I really, truly encourage you to start planning.